My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of the 2021 movie Tom and Jerry. And Tom and Jerry are a cartoon that I didn't really grow up with as a kid. I saw it from time to time, but I don't know if I've watched an entirely full episode of Tom and Jerry. I don't even know if the episodes were 10 minutes long or 20 minutes long. I remember watching it, I just remember nothing about it. But it's a pretty straightforward cartoon. It's got some silly hijinks in it, and that's what I liked about it as a kid. It's not like Looney Tunes. I haven't ever felt myself going back to it as an adult. I was more of a Tweety Bird and Sylvester kind of guy, but I was still looking forward to see what they could do with these two in a movie. And from the very first second of this movie, when the birds were in the sky rapping about what's happening, I was just like, oh, this is going to be a cringe fest, isn't it? And indeed it was. This movie is, I'm not going to bury the lead, absolutely awful in every single way. There is nothing that this movie has to offer the audience. I don't even think kids are going to enjoy this movie. This movie is an hour and 40 minutes long, and I'm shocked by that because it honestly felt longer than 2 hours long. There's just not enough substance that you can bring of a cat chasing a mouse that would fit into an hour and 40 minute long movie. So they filled in with all this human stuff that you don't care about because you're here to see Tom and Jerry. And the Tom and Jerry stuff gets old after 5 minutes, so it's just like this movie was kind of doomed to fail on premise alone. Chloe Grace Moretz is the lead, and I thought she said in an interview she was going to stop being in so many bad movies, but I just don't see that happening because this movie might be the worst movie she's been in. I don't think she was good in this movie. I think she's a talented actress, and I would like to see her in more better movies. Mike Pina's also in this movie, and I thought he was awful. What's with that guy? The guy's a talented actor, but he picks crap to be in like this and Fantasy Island. What are you doing, Mike Pina? Pick some better movies. He's awful in this movie, and everything involving his character, especially in the last act, was just terribly written and laughably bad, and not in a good way. The rest of the acting is bad, and the story in this movie is just really bad. And once I said it doesn't fit into this one time of an hour and 40 minutes, it feels very stretched out. There's a point, just barely over the halfway mark, where you're like, oh, okay, so this is going to be the rock bottom part, where everything hits rock bottom and then they go on the way up. This is right before the movie's about to wrap up. You see it in every single movie. In every single rom-com, before they end up together, they always break up. It's in every single movie. So when they hit rock bottom, I was just like, okay, so this movie might be wrapping up soon. But then I paused it and I'm just like, wait, we still got another 50 minutes of this? What the hell? Just on a pacing level and a structural level alone, that did not work because then 25 minutes later, we get another rock bottom moment. So I know criticizing the pacing and the structure in a kids movie just seems laughable, but the pacing and structure in this movie is straight up atrocious because during the second half of this movie, it's a complete pacing nightmare. The human story is no good. I did not care for any of these characters. I didn't care for the girl who got herself into the hotel business. And okay, it peed me off because I don't want to go into it, but basically this girl wants a job at the hotel. She ends up stealing someone else's resume that's really impressive, and then she gets the job. But the name on the resume doesn't match her name because it's not her resume. But everybody calls her Kayla, even though the name on the resume would be the other person's name. I know it's such a small nitpick, but that just drove me crazy. Why are you calling her Kayla? Can't you see that's not the name on the resume? Like, just, they couldn't even give the smallest detail any thought behind it. It's just, stuff like that really drives me nuts. And in the cartoon, I always got the sense that I was supposed to root for Jerry. That Jerry is a mouse, Tom is a cat, Tom is chasing Jerry because he's a mouse, Tom's a cat. That's what cats do. So I always got the feeling that I was supposed to root for Jerry. But in this movie, I just didn't root for anyone. Jerry I found to be a completely unlikable character who stole things and just wasn't a good character. Tom wasn't a good character. Chloe Grace Moretz wasn't a good person. Mike Pina wasn't a good person. Who am I supposed to root for? Like in Madagascar and Kung Fu Panda, you root for Alex and Marty and Paul and Master Shifu. You know, there's people that you're supposed to root for in those movies. But while I was watching this movie, I was just like, who am I rooting for? You watch Space Jam, you're rooting for the Looney Tunes. You watch this movie, and I'm just like, I kind of want them all to fail. So Yes, that aspect of the movie didn't work for me whatsoever. And I'll also say that the animation in this movie was really bad. You watch a movie like Looney Tunes Back in Action. I'm not saying the blend between CGI and the real world was perfect, but it looked more convincing than it ever looked in this movie. From the second that Tom and Jerry appear in this movie, you can easily tell when the real world ends and the animation begins. It felt like there was an outside layer and the cartoons were on the other side of it. Like, just when I was watching it, it never felt like the cartoon characters were living in this real world. It always felt like two separate things. So I didn't think the animation was any good. And I will also say that this movie wasn't funny at all. I don't know if I said that yet, but I didn't laugh once in this movie. I didn't smile once. It's Tom and Jerry going around hitting each other with hammers and hitting each other, and it just gets old really fast. And I know that's Tom and Jerry's shtick, but once again, cartoons are supposed to be 20 minutes long, not an hour and 40 minutes. By the time it got to the 15-minute mark, I'm just like, okay, I think I've seen everything that this movie has to offer, and I certainly did. Look, I'm not going to drag out this review any longer. Tom and Jerry is an unfunny mess of a movie. Structurally and pacing-wise, it's a complete disaster. The cast is awful. I didn't root for any of the characters. It's never funny or entertaining. It's way too long, at an hour and 40 minutes long. This movie just failed for me on absolutely every single level. I'm going to go ahead and give Tom and Jerry a 2 out of 10. Okay, did you like Tom and Jerry, or are you a fan of Ben and Jerry? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon. Oh my goodness, I can't seem to speak. Stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.